A very good evening and a very warm welcome to all of you to yet another episode of Boost Your Vocabulary with me, Shreya Srivastav, on Pratham's YouTube channel. I hope that you're all doing well, and I hope that you had some time to yourself today, where you rested and everything. Today we're going to be doing something again similar to what we did earlier, right? Which was again we talked about some phrases that we could use in place of some other phrases that we in general tend to use. Today we will look at some emotions, 5 emotions that we're going to look at, and some phrases that you can use to describe your emotion, or some idioms and some phrases that you can use when you are feeling that one emotion. Okay, so we will start with today's first emotion, and I'll first have give you a run through of all the emotions that we're going to be looking at and some idioms related to each one of them. So we'll talk about some idioms related to happy, then we'll talk about some idioms related to ignorant, some sad, some different aspects of being sad, and then emotions and phrases related to that, and then angry and scared. So those are some of the things that we will be looking at today. So we'll start with the first one, which is happy. So we'll look at this. If you look at happy, there are a couple of things. First says flying high, right? So which means extremely happy. You can also use words like ecstatic and jubilant and euphoric, right? Those are some words that basically mean very happy, extremely happy, right? So we can look at those words here: jubilant, ecstatic. You can also use the word elated, right? You can also say euphoric. Those are some words that basically talk about being extremely happy. So look at the sentence. You're saying she's flying high after the successful product launch. That means she's extremely happy. She's very satisfied, very happy, on top of the world, that kind of thing. That's flying high. But if you're not just happy, you're excited. When you're not just happy about something, but you're also excited, you're eager, you're very keen on that something, something you probably have been waiting for. So we can use the word pumped up. Okay, so that's a phrase that we can use, which basically means when you're very excited. So look at that sentence that says he's pumped up for his first half marathon race this weekend. That means he's really excited, extremely keen, very eager, right? Enthusiastic. So that is what pumped up would be. So being excited is a different kind of emotion, but all obviously comes under feeling happy. So we will look at pumped up as excited, and flying high as somebody who is very happy and elated, right? Then let's look at the other emotion. For the second emotion, we have being ignorant. Being ignorant basically means that you're not really focusing on the problem. You're letting the problem go. Okay, and that's that. So we'll look at this word, which basically says fool's paradise. Now fool's paradise is also pretty much the same thing. When you're kind of ignoring that there is some problem at hand, and just kind of let it go, and you're probably dwelling in your own ivory tower and be like, okay, it doesn't matter. That, or when you have your head up in the clouds, that is fool's paradise. So a situation when someone's happy because they are not aware of the problem, or fail to realize its existence, that's basically what, or they're ignoring the problem, that's basically what fool's paradise is. So when you're ignoring any problem, when you are you don't want to probably look at it, ignore it, be like, theek hai, koi baat nahi. So there's this other it's a very common saying that if a cat shuts its eye, it thinks that other people can't see it. So basically when you're shutting your eye to the problem, you feel that there is no problem at all. That's basically fool's paradise. Okay, so look at the sentence. It says he's been living in a fool's paradise since he started trading stocks, expected to make millions even though he doesn't have investing experience. So what was the problem at hand? The problem was that he did not have enough experience, but what he otherwise but still was doing was he was expecting that he'd make millions. So feeling happy or feeling satisfied or not worrying about a situation, even though there are like lots of problems that you might want to look at, that is fool's paradise. So you can also probably an idiom that comes closer to this is having your head up in the clouds. Okay, or head in the clouds. That, and then the other one that comes closer to this is dwell in an ivory tower. Having your head up in the clouds, or having your head in the clouds, basically means that you are in your own fantasy world, and you don't want to probably look at the reality that is there, and so that's basically head in your clouds, head in the clouds. The other one is dwell in an ivory tower. That one basically speaks specifically of the fact that you don't know real problems. When you're unaware of the real problems, and you think problems like not having your phone charged enough, or not getting pizza every day is a problem, but there are real problems in the world, and if you're unaware of those, then we call it dwell in an ivory tower. So being ignorant can have again multiple underpinnings to it. This one basically, fool's paradise is when you're ignoring the problem at all. Head in the clouds is when you're living in a fantasy, when you think what you have in your mind is easy to probably obtain. So ignorance in that sense. And dwelling in an ivory tower is when you're ignoring real problems. Okay, that is dwelling in an ivory tower. When you think that your problems are bigger problems, but there are no real, you're unaware of real problems, that's dwelling in an ivory tower. So those were two emotions that we've looked at till now. We've done happy. So we did flying high, which means extremely happy, and pumped up, which was excited. Then we did ignorant, which and then three idioms related to it: fool's paradise, head in the clouds, and dwell in an ivory tower. Let's look at the third emotion for the day now. For our third emotion, it says sad. So when you're sad, you're very, very unhappy, detested, despondent, without hope, without any any will to see that there is any brighter side to the picture. That's basically when you're sad, unhappy, sorrow stricken. So you can use the word or the idiom be down in the dumps. When you're down in the dumps, you basically again mean you're very sad, or you feel hopeless, or you feel reluctant to a certain extent. So look at the sentences. I say, I always feel down in the dumps when I go back to work after a long weekend. So again, yeah, I mean, everybody feels sad when there's this Monday that comes back in our lives, and then or it's the Sunday evening when that realization dawns upon you that you'll have to go to school tomorrow, or you have to go to college tomorrow, or office tomorrow, or will probably end up not having enough fun or as much fun as you did in the weekend. That is sad. So feeling down in the dumps, or being down in the dumps, that's basically when you're unhappy. But let's look at the other one. It says being at the end of your rope. Another similar idiom, or a more British version to this idiom, is be at the end of your tether. Okay, both are acceptable, of course. So being at the end of your rope, or being at the end of your tether, that basically is when you're upset because you kind of now don't want to deal with something. You've kind of given up on the situation. You're like, I can't deal with it, or you're unable to deal with it. Maybe you don't have enough resources, maybe you don't have enough bandwidth to sustain the problems that you encounter. So that's being at the end of your rope, or being at the end of your tether, meaning you have reached a saturation where you no longer can work towards the problem that you have at hand, right? So that's basically what this idiom talks about. So let's have a look at the meaning. It says to feel very upset because you're no longer able to deal with a difficult situation. So again, like I said, when you're when you have given up and you don't want to deal with the situation anymore because you're like, I don't want to do it now, it's fine, it is what it is. So that is what being at the end of your rope means. Let's look at the sentence. It says Helen is at the end of her rope after looking for a job for months without any luck. So if you'll have to probably look at look for jobs for like months and months together, and then you still don't find any job, of course you'll give up at the end, right? And when you're giving up, you reach that saturation where like, now I feel very sad, but I really can't do much. That is being at the end of your rope, or being at the end of your tether, right? That was our third emotion, sad. Let's look at the fourth emotion, which is angry. Now, when you're very, very angry, bitterly angry with somebody, or you respond in a very angry and a very hot-tempered manner, you can say bite someone's head off, right? So you bit someone's head off, meaning you reacted in a very, very angry, uncalled for and hot-tempered manner, or ill-tempered manner. That's basically angry or biting someone's head off. So look at the the sentence. It says, I just asked one question, my boss bit my head off. So it was just like one question that I asked, and he reacted in a very angry, very ill-tempered manner. So he bit my head off. That's basically being very, very angry, extremely churlish, and probably not even looking at what you're saying. So that is, or blowing one's top off. That's another idiom. Blowing one's top off is when you get extremely angry. So to blow one's head off or top off, that is or when your anger reaches the roof, that's when you are extremely angry. That's the first idiom related to angry. Let's look at the second one. It says black mood. Now black mood is when you are irritable, or you're angry, or you're depressed, or you're annoyed, or you feel that something's just not correct, something's just not right. You're feeling out of it, you're kind of feeling out of it. That's basically black mood. Okay, so to be irritable, angry, depressed, annoyed, despondent, all sorts of negative emotions that you can't deal with, that's black mood. So let's look at the sentence. It says she's scared to ask for a day off as her boss is in a black mood today. That means she's scared to say anything at all. Okay, and because she's just scared that he is not feeling it today, right? Now I have a couple of questions. One is, of course, hi Himanshu. Naman says, ma'am, what's the difference between in spite and despite? Naman, they categorically are the same things, right? Meaning wise and grammatically they are the same things. The only difference is when you're saying in spite, you use off with it. When you use despite, you don't use off with it. That's the only difference. You can interchangeably use both of them. Just the only difference is with that preposition of, which you can use with in spite, but you can't use with despite. I hope that that helps. Okay, and let's look at the last emotion, which is scared. So when you're scared, you can say afraid of your own shadow. When you're petrified, okay, when you're petrified, you can use this. And when I say petrified, I don't mean just like random normal scared, I mean scared to the core. Petrify in a word in itself means when you're like completely stiff and stoned and you can't move. So petrified is when you're so scared that you can't even move, you can't even react. So that's when you can use this word or this phrase, afraid of your own shadow. When you're easily frightened, very, very frightened, very easily scared, afraid of things, petrified. So look at the sentence. It says, after reading Dracula, she became afraid of her own shadow. That means after reading Dracula, she was petrified. She was very, very scared. She couldn't probably manage how scared she was in general. So that's basically what this word or this idiom means. So those are all the idioms that we wanted to look at. We did 5 emotions today. We talked about happy, angry, sad, ignorant, and scared, and we did a couple of idioms each, right? And I hope that this helped you. So you can now use these idioms and just not just use things and words like I'm angry and I'm sad and I'm upset. You can actually use these phrases to make your English slightly better, not more better. Alright, until next time I see you, take care of yourselves. Have a very good night. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, please make sure that you like the video and also send it across to your friends if you think this might help somebody, right? And until next time that I see you, which is going to be on Tuesday, take care of yourselves. Bye bye. Have a very good night.